much shame for the NPP. And this is Kwesi Pratt Jr. speaking. Hey, now Kwesi Pratt Jr. is somebody everybody knows in Ghana. He's 71 years old and he looks like he just hit 50. Looking so healthy. Oh my God. He says the only bad habits he has, which he himself is working on, is the fact that he smokes cigarettes. But he's working on it. Maybe without the cigarettes, he would have even looked better. My brother, my sister, this is Kwesi Pratt Jr. He's one man I can vouch for any day, any time, any hour. This is Kwesi Pratt Jr. In fact, he is the editor general, better say the editor-in-chief of a newspaper everybody respects in Ghana, the Inside newspaper. This is Kwesi Pratt Jr. He's a crazy Nkrumahist, and when he speaks his mind, he doesn't look back. He doesn't care about shadows lurking in the dark. Neither does he care about footsteps that are trailing him. One time, he said, the day that I would employ a bodyguard, that is the day I am going to die. The words of Kwesi Pratt. He was threatened in the days of John Ajekun Kufuor that he should never come around Hotel Wawa, let alone even take a photograph that he had promised he was going to take with his own camera. But he went there with his barrette, military style, and amidst so many other people, he dared the president at the time to arrest him, and he took that shot. Today, when you go into his office, that shot has been printed and pasted on the wall of the Freedom Center. This is Kwesi Pratt Jr. He's a man who is a strong advocate of our democracy. He's a crazy nationalist. And in fact, he is an over-the-top Pan-Africanist. Better still, a crazy Nkrumahist. This is the man we are talking about, Kwesi Pratt Jr. There was one time we were told that he was invited to become the Ghana ambassador to India. And he turned that down and said, you know what? I am not meant for public office, especially if it's coming from politicians. That was in the days of John Evans Atta Mills. Oh my God, as president of the republic. He's a man whose integrity looms over the heads of every Ghanaian, average-minded Ghanaian. This is Kwesi Pratt Jr. Hey, Kwesi Pratt Jr. is angry. Now, the 71-year-old says he is so ashamed of something that happened, and he wished he could turn back the hands of time. Now, the NPP, led by its minority in parliament, decided to move from one embassy to the other, reporting the president of the nation, John Dramani Mahama, and his NDC to these embassies for violation of human rights. Arresting and locking up people. In fact, the NPP decided to go after the diplomatic world so that the news can spread all over the world that we live in a country where the party in power is violating human rights. You cannot speak, you will be arrested, and you will not get bail. In fact, the country is led by some kind of cabal manipulating the judiciary. Kwesi Pratt is not happy about it. Let's see exactly what happened. Nana B was the guy who spoke, and he went to the Moroccan embassy. You could call it the consulate, whatever it is. That's Nana B. He met with a pretty woman here, who I met personally a couple of times. My brother, my sister. This is what it is. And I'll tell you how my relationship with the Moroccan embassy broke down under this pretty lady. My brother, my sister, Nana B led the minority in parliament all the way to the Moroccan embassy. And what did they tell the Moroccan embassy? Watch this.
Executed and intimidated for comment critical of government or state institution. The state's response to the political criticisms has shifted from democratic engagement to criminal prosecution and persecution. The dangerous trend, exemplified by the recent arrest, prosecution, and remand of Mr. Kwame Bafo, known as Abronye, the Bono regional chairman of the NPP. Mr. Bafo was arraigned before Circuit Court 9 in Accra on charges of offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace and publication of false news, following comments he allegedly made criticizing a judge and questioning judicial impartiality. Your Excellency, without doubt, since the assumption of the office of John Dramani Mahama, the National Democratic Congress on 7th NDC government on 7th January 2025, the nation has increasingly witnessed the brazen and continuous weaponization of state security institutions by government officials to settle personal scores with ardent critics of the government, particularly members and sympathizers of the New Patriotic Party. What is unfolding in Ghana today is not ordinary law enforcement. It is a systematic criminalization of dissent, political intimidation, and the deliberate suppression of opposition voices through the cohesive machinery of the state. At the risk of sounding repetitive, the following members of and sympathizers of our party are among the many victims who can be described as government-sponsored persecution, harassment, intimidation, and the criminalization of free speech. Mr. Kwame Bafo Abronye DC, Reverend John Intim Fojo, who is a member of parliament for Asen South, Paul Adomotche, who is also a renowned journalist, Daniel Adomako, Mohammed Zakor, Yaira Abewu, Fanti Comedy, Mr. Achenkwa of Untumi TV, Okateche Afrifa, Kofi Ofosun Kansa, Alfred Abelio, known as Adenta Kumi, Gordon Asare Bediatuo, Abubakar Yakubu, known as Baba and recently David Esando, who only posted on social media that Dumso is back. Your Excellency, this young man was brutally arrested by men wielding sophisticated arms far away in Agunas, brought to Accra. The following day, the party searched everywhere. We combed everywhere for this young man. We went to every state institution, only for us to be told around 5 his whereabouts. Profound constitutional questions regarding the legality of the detention itself. Selective justice and political double standards. The selective and partisan application of the law has become impossible to ignore. While opposition members are swiftly arrested, detained, and prosecuted for allegedly speech offenses, members and officials associated to the governed National Democratic Congress who engage in similar or more egregious conduct are routinely ignored by law enforcement agencies. The NPP formally petitioned the Ghana police concerning the violent conduct threat allegedly perpetrated against some senior party officials during some of our by-elections. We just had the otchere by-elections. And
this is Nana B. That's how they call him, Nana Boakye. His father was Boakye Matres, who in the days of Rawlings was so harassed. His factory closed down. And this man was made almost a pauper in the days of J.J. Rawlings. I am sure Nana B has never forgiven the Rawlings' PNDC and NDC machinery. And for that matter, when he's talking about the NDC and the PNDC combined, he's full of anger and vitriol. Maybe if it was you, you would do the same thing. His father, in the days of Rawlings, was brutalized. The so-called Kalabule. Rawlings collapsed a lot of Ghanaian businesses. And his father's business was one of those, watching threats. We remember that. Well, let's go into the meat of the whole story. So Nana B went to the embassy, the consulate, whatever you call it, of Morocco. And he spoke with the ambassador. My brother, my sister, wearing this ugly suit, they are not even ready to even look African when they are going into other jurisdictions. My brother, the Moroccan consulate or the Moroccan embassy, however you call it, my brother, my sister, is another jurisdiction. Technically, that is what it is diplomatically. If a Ghanaian is being chased to be arrested and he runs into the Moroccan embassy or consulate, what happens? The chase stops right there. Because you have to respect the sovereignty of this country. This was where Nana B decided to go in this hot, ugly suit. My brother, my sister. And that was where he went to read a multi-paged petition to this woman here. My brother, my sister. Kwesi Pratt is not happy. Kwesi Pratt is extremely disturbed. And he has made his point clear. What has Kwesi Pratt said? Let's go into the meat of his delivery. And when we return, we will conclude it. Watch this.
Now, the NPP, not the minority, the NPP has done something which embarrasses me. You understand? Now, I saw members of parliament of the NPP actually presenting a petition to the Moroccan ambassador.
We played that video.
Yeah, who happens to be the Dean of Diplomatic Corps, calling for intervention in Ghana for the respect of the fundamental rights of our people and so on. And I'm wondering, my goodness, what is this? Morocco?
Why? What's wrong with petitioning Morocco?
Check the records. Check Amnesty International reports. Check UN reports, UN Agency for Refugees and so on. Check all of those reports. Check what Morocco is doing in Western Sahara. And so, how many demonstrations have not been cracked? How many scores have not been cracked? I spent some time in Tindor, in the refugee camp in Tindor, and they tell horrendous stories of human rights abuse. So even their statistics is wrong. You understand? Their statistics is absolutely wrong. I feel so embarrassed. Why? You want to compare Ghana's human rights record to the human rights record of Morocco? What's wrong with you? Unbelievable. Their statistics so bad. The argument will be that whether we like it or not, she's the Dean of Diplomatic Corps.
I was just about to say that.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine. How do people become Deans of Diplomatic Corps? The longer you stay, the more likely it is that you become the Dean. The Dean is actually the longest serving ambassador or high commissioner. You know. And that is why if you go around the world, in many places, the deans are usually Palestinians because they don't get changed very quickly.
Right.
You understand? And even in Ghana, until recently, the Dean of Diplomatic Corps was Mr. Ibrahim Umar,
right,
ambassador of the State of Palestine, because he was the longest serving, diplomat at that level. You understand? So that's not really an excuse and so on.
So the issue about the human rights credentials doesn't even come up at all in the consideration of you being appointed as a dean. Do you get it? I'm saying that. So the issue about the human...
This is Kwesi Pratt Jr. talking, and he spoke on Good Morning Ghana. My brother, my sister, Are we serious in this nation? If you are looking for amnesty, you go into a country that doesn't have a quarter of your peace. If you are looking for greener pastures, you go into a country that is 1 trillion times poorer than your own country. It's like the Dagomba man who carries salt all the way from Tamale to go and sell at the Boya, where salt itself is mined. It doesn't make sense. Now let us go into this. Now there was a time I met with this Moroccan ambassador, and we had a nice conversation. There was a plan for us to have a certain cultural exchange and all that. The following day, there was some news about Morocco. I think it was during the time of the African Cup or the World Cup, one of those. And Morocco was misbehaving. Racial discrimination and foolishness. And I spoke against it. And the lady was angry. You just came into, our embassy. We had a beautiful conversation. We said that we're going to do A, B, C, D for you. If anything at all, for the sake of diplomacy, you should have kept quiet. And I told them, I don't keep quiet like that. I am an African, and anything that hurts Africa, I might speak about that. That was how my relationship with this woman and then the Moroccan embassy broke down totally. Now, my brother, Kwesi Pratt is revisiting the same thing. The NPP, when they see that somebody has a lighter skin, for them, that is God for them. When you look at the history of the NPP, even before the NLM, my brother, they have always been worshippers of light skin, the British. It's Kwame Nkrumah that came and stood vehemently on the pedestal of Pan-Africanism, and he said equality for all human beings and beyond. The NPP, my brother, my sister, the UP, that tradition, they have always been worshippers of the white guys. I am not surprised that they probably thought that the Moroccan woman is white because her skin is light. For them, that is the epitome of decency, the light skin. So he would wear that ugly suit like somebody who just dropped from Venus, overfed with trash, and he runs to the Moroccan embassy to misbehave like this. As Kwesi Pratt asked, what is the human rights record of Morocco, the country that you have run to give a petition to concerning human rights violations in your country? In your country, according to you, you are only arresting people, putting them in detention. That's all you do. In Morocco, they kill. In Morocco, when your skin is dark, you are targeted for murder. These are the people you are going to. There was a time Moroccans told us that they were not Africans. Have you forgotten? They told us point blank that they were not Africans. They didn't want to be counted as Africans. Remember in the African Cup of Nations? This was what they said. They were not Africans. And these idiots decide to go in the name of a certain micro-minority to sell us out. The same way their dirty party sold us to the white man when Nkrumah was getting ready for the independence of this nation. You know what J.B. Danko and the rest said? They went to the Queen of England and said, hey, we are not ready for any independence. So Nkrumah is not speaking for all of us. Please. J.B. Danko and the rest were even insisting that the head of the Queen of England should still be on our currency. Trying to incite the Queen of England to pull back some courtesies that had been given to Nkrumah and his new movement for independence. Oh, he has removed your face. You know that, yes, you are the Queen of England. You are our goddess. And look at how he's treating you in England. That's just what they told the Queen of England. Today, they are doing the same thing. They are running to no better country that has a better record of human rights. But Morocco. Can I run your dossier so you get to know the human rights history of Morocco? Run it. Run the dossier and see. Human rights organizations and international bodies have widely documented grave atrocities, underline the word grave. These guys are semi-illiterates. They don't even understand what it means to say grave. Grave atrocities, abuses, and human rights violations committed by Moroccan authorities against sub-Saharan African migrants, refugees, and indigenous populations. Number one, violence against sub-Saharan African migrants. Listen, Nana B and your group of dirty suit wearing crooks. Watch this. Now, the treatment of sub-Saharan migrants in Morocco is heavily shaped by European border control policies, which often prioritize stopping migration over humanitarian concerns. You could be dying as an African. If you get to the Moroccan border, they don't care. You are black. You are next to a pet. The Melilla massacre, and I need you to open your ears. This was not in AD 62 or 62 AD. On June 24, 2022, only 4 years ago, an estimated 2,000 African migrants and refugees, many from conflict zones like Sudan. Are you listening? Are you listening? 2,000 African migrants and refugees from what? Conflict zones. They were actually refugees. Attempted to scale the border fence between Morocco and the Spanish enclave of Melilla. The coordinated response by Moroccan and Spanish security forces resulted in a devastating loss of lives, with human rights groups recording at least 37 deaths and dozens of disappearances. Investigations, including those by the BBC News and Amnesty International, revealed that Moroccan forces beat and tear-gassed unarmed migrants in enclosed spaces and failed to provide medical assistance for hours. Tear gas in enclosed places. You monkeys, you are here, threw tear gas in there, locked all the windows, and left them there to be asphyxiated. Mass rapes and deportations. Human rights watchdogs consistently report security forces violently raiding informal migrant camps. Destroying belongings and conducting mass arbitrary arrests. Many of those detained, including recognized asylum seekers and refugees, are handcuffed, forced into buses, and abandoned in remote desert areas or near the Algerian and Mauritanian borders in violation of international laws. Can you see how wicked these guys are? My brother, when you are arrested, whether you are a genuine refugee, genuine asylum seeker, or not in Morocco, they will handcuff you, put you in buses, drive you all the way to the middle part of the desert and leave you there. No water, no food. They leave you there for the mountain jackals. You will die there. That's what they do. These are the people you go to report your country about human rights violations to. Are you serious? Or you are dumb? What really are you? racial profiling, and impunity. Listen to this. Rights groups have condemned widespread racial profiling against Black African migrants by both law enforcement and local citizens, with perpetrators of police brutality rarely facing justice. Their police can beat you up, shoot you, and kill you. You are just like an animal who has been killed. No law holds them responsible. That is what this is saying. Now, there's a place called Western Sahara, the Sahrawi Republic. Morocco is not allowing them to break away. Morocco is visiting them with danger, harm. These are the people you are going to talk to about human rights violations of your country. Are you serious? Or you are illiterate of the happenings of the world? Morocco's long-standing occupation of Western Sahara has also resulted in severe, systematic human rights violations against the indigenous Sahrawi people. Peaceful demonstrations advocating for self-determination are routinely broken up by Moroccan forces, with activists subjected to arbitrary arrests, beatings, and enforced disappearances. Do you know what that means? You will disappear. They are good at that. These are the people you report your country to on human rights violations. Numerous Sahrawi human rights defenders and journalists are serving lengthy prison sentences, often handed down after unfair trials, relying on confessions that the defendants claim were extracted under torture. That's what we call duress. My brother, we can go on and on and on and on. Institutional response and accountability. While Morocco established the Equity and Reconciliation Committee to look into historical human rights abuses, international organizations have criticized the country's ongoing use of blanket immunity for its armed forces. You know what that means? Blanket immunity. Armed forces can do anything at all. They are immune. Nobody can take them to court. They can kill, they can slaughter, they can finish you. Nobody can ever take. That's what is called blanket immunity for armed forces. The African Union and various UN experts have repeatedly called for transparent and independent investigations into border violence, but accountability remains severely lacking. You get up with your ugly, dirty, smelly, oversized suit. Then you go and stand in front of these jackals and sell out your country. Mahama is doing this. You think you are doing politics. These guys in the days of slavery were those who should have been sold into the slave plantations because they are in a hurry to become white. Our ancestors that went in there never deserved it, but these guys, they know nothing. Their head is full of chaff. My brother, you go to the Moroccan embassy and report your country on human rights violation, some 10-page petition, and he can't even read it fluently. Because in our country, my brother, it's not about what you have in your head. It's about how many insults you can churn out. That is why these guys are able to survive. They don't have any good education. They know nothing. You take them to school today, even kindergarten, they will fail. These are the people who are running the country. These people do not know the difference between an atom, my brother, my sister, and a balloon. They don't. They don't know the difference between a spear and a sword. These are the guys. They are those running the country. And look at them. Oh, we are going to an embassy, so let's dress well. Like your ambassador is telling Ghanaians to dress well before they can get American visas. And for them, dressing well is dressing like the white man. Such idiots. I'm so angry. So angry. The human rights violations of Morocco is 1 trillion times more than what we experience in Ghana. Now, the Ghanaian parliament a few days ago was said to be one of the most vibrant in the whole of the sub-region. Freedom of speech is number 1 in this country, in the sub-region. Today, you go to a country that is so rotten, stinking of human rights abuses. And Your Excellency, John Dramani Mahama has slapped Abronye, and Abronye was crying, wait. And for that matter, we are coming to report to you. John Dramani Mahama also slapped another guy called Fanti Comedy, who was also crying, wait. Therefore, it's human rights abuses. Make sure that you report Mahama to the... When Nanabi and the rest left, I'm sure this woman was laughing at them. Because you've missed road, as we say in Jamaica, in Nigeria, I beg your pardon.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.